So you're toying with the idea of buying a beach house here in New Jersey. Maybe you're even sitting on your beach chair right now, debating whether this is a good time or you're making the right decision or how to begin the process. Well, good news is we've got you covered. Today we're going to cover part 2, 5 additional mistakes to avoid making when you buy your New Jersey beach house. And if you didn't watch part 1, pause this, stop, go back, watch part 1, and then when you're finished with that, come back and watch this part 2 video. So in this video, we're going to cover 5 more mistakes to avoid that pertain more to the financials, tax ramifications, and potential liabilities to not just maximize your investment, but avoid potential lawsuits, lost incomes, and potential foreclosure. Now make sure you watch all the way to the end of this video for a sneaky bonus tip on how to maximize a new construction build by focusing on the BFE. Now, and after you're done watching this, make sure to check out the link below to download your ultimate New Jersey beach house buyer guide before you get started with the process. So let's go. Mistake number 6 is not understanding the tax benefits and ramifications. Did you know that you can rent out your property for 14 days or less and not pay income tax on that rental income? It's true. But for any property you're renting for longer than 14 days, it means the income you get from that is taxable as an investment property. So make sure you're working with your CPA to plan out accordingly. Now, we're not going to get into depreciation here, but just know there are so many benefits to owning real estate as a way to reduce your taxable income every year, potentially down to 0. In fact, one interesting tactic is using that 14-day rule we spoke about. Your company could rent your beach house from you for 14 days or less to use for a company retreat, for example. And not only is that income to you not taxable, but it is a tax-deductible expense to the business potentially. Now, always check with your CPA on this, but that's a very interesting way to reduce your taxable income. Mistake number 7 is buying a house you can't afford. It's human nature for us to stretch ourselves as far as we can to get as much as we can, but often more than we can comfortably carry. Now, if you're buying a property for your own enjoyment, this doesn't necessarily apply, but if you plan on renting the property, whether partially or wholly, make sure you can afford that property without the best case rental scenario happening every time. Maybe rental prices are headed up this year, but down in the next few years. Economic changes, large weather disruptions, and global pandemics can affect the rental market, both good and bad, and you don't want to be left high and dry. Of course, rental income should be factored into your analysis, but if you can't comfortably afford the property without the stars aligning with rentals, this should send alarms off in your head. Number 8 is ignoring trending amenities. Pools and elevators are commanding much higher rental prices right now than homes that don't have them. And typically the cost to install them gets paid back to you in the form of additional rental income within 1 or 2 years. But if you buy a house that doesn't have the space for the pool in the backyard or isn't framed out for that elevator shaft already, you might be stuck when you decide you want to put them in the future. Even if you don't plan on renting, pay attention to these 2 amenities because they have grown in popularity. Because let's be honest, if you're stuck in another pandemic, it's a whole lot nicer to ride it out at your beach house with your pool. And your beach house could become your forever house because you don't have to go up and down stairs if you have an elevator. Mistake number 9 is not using an LLC. Make sure that any property that you'll be renting, even if only for a week or 2 to family or friends, is owned in the name of an LLC or a shielded entity. This makes sure that, God forbid, something happens at that property and the renter sues you for the accident that happened at the property, that they can't come after your primary residence or other assets. So make sure you talk to your CPA and an attorney to shield the property correctly. Mistake number 10 is not including the furniture. And I mean this 2 different ways. Not including the furniture in your purchase offer. If you love the style and decor of that house, include the furniture and furnishings in your purchase offer. Now, you're going to pay more for the property, including all of that, than if you didn't have it, but it's still a fraction of what it would cost you to do it yourself. Not to mention the headache or the time. Especially with supply chain disruptions that we have right now, it could take you 6 to 8 months to get new furniture for the house. And that's the difference between enjoying it on day 1 or not. Many sellers don't plan on taking that furniture with them anyway or have a place to put it. And if they're buying another beach house, they might be using a custom designer to get all new stuff, so they might be willing to deal anyway. But the second way I mean is that a lot of buyers forget to factor in the cost of furnishing their entire property. A second set of everything can really add up, and you need to make sure that you're factoring those purchases into your capital expense budget. All right, bonus tip time, and you stuck around all the way until the end. Well, maybe, let's be honest, you just fast forwarded until we got to this point. But before I give it to you, please make sure to hit the subscribe button down below if you found this helpful. Hit that bell so you can get alerted the next video that we drop. So I mentioned there's a sneaky way to build an even bigger house on an identical piece of property just based on the BFE. Now it sounds counterintuitive, but houses that are closest to the ocean generally sit higher above sea level, higher above the BFE, than houses that sit on the bayfront. It's just the general topography of the way a lot of our barrier islands in New Jersey formed. So you have to think about that in relation to height restrictions. So most towns have a height restriction, for example, 35 feet, meaning the ultimate top of the house can't be higher than that. And that height restriction is measured from the crown in front of your house, which is the higher point of the road that typically is built like this. So if you only have 35 feet high that you can build, you need to pay attention to the BFE because that dictates how many finished floors you could have. So think about this. A house on the ocean block that sits above the BFE at ground level can give you 3 floors to work with to finish of your house, compared to a house that's 2 blocks in from the beach that has a 9-foot BFE, meaning that you have to build your 2nd and 3rd floor finished, but your basement level is going to be an unfinished garage space. Now that means that your ocean block house might only have a 1-car garage, but they might have added 1 to 2 more bedrooms and a bathroom that accounts for 20 to 30% more square footage that can make all the difference in the world in maximizing your rental income. So make sure you pay attention to the BFE, get a flood elevation certificate, and make that BFE work for you. Now, as you can see, beach houses are a passion for us, and it should be really exciting for you when you're buying your first beach house. But all too often, you're on vacation, you get really excited, you pull the trigger too fast, and you make a decision that you might actually regret. So be excited, slow down, find a pro to help you out with it. If you have any questions about what we cover in this video or part 1, make sure to reach out to us at 201-596-6236. And as always, thanks for watching.